Alright lads, so this morning we did get a surprise banner announcement, in this case a special anniversary gravitation summons, and with that Masaki and Isshin are also returning. This was a banner that is not even 3 months old, yet it's rerunning, which is kind of crazy to think. No one expected this to return this month, maybe next or the month after. But I guess to be fair, in the last couple of some months we have gotten quite a few 1000-year Blood banners, this one included. And because there's so many banners to rerun, maybe it makes sense to rerun it right now. I'm not too sure. But I guess they are rerunning it because it is an anniversary special. And I mean, Masaki and Isshin are also fan favorites. So we're going to ask the question, is this banner worth summoning on? No. No, it is not. I would not recommend anyone to pull on this banner. We'll talk about it, but I don't think it's worth summoning. Now, part of me would say, wait till the 28th of this month. August 28th is when we are getting the next banner. We're going to talk about when the time does come. On the 27th, we are going to do our prediction video, but from what I've been hearing, and again, take it with a grain of salt, right? Because we've been hearing about this for the last month and a half almost at this point, is that the upcoming end of month banner is going to be free stamp return. We have no idea who the characters will be. We have no idea that's going to be true, but very likely end of month is going to be a good banner, as is every end of month. And if it is going to be 1000-year Blood War, I mean, they've already done so many swipers, right? Our last 3 1000-year Blood War banners have all been swipers with the exception of Grammy. So it's only a matter of time before we start getting some of the other stamp return, maybe ones that you have been waiting for. I don't need to say any names, right? But eventually those stamp returns that you have been waiting for are going to come out potentially in the next couple of so months. That's just me assuming. But if that leak is to be true, end of month is going to be free stamp return, and you might want to save your rolls for that just to see what it's going to be. Luckily though, you can actually do that. In fact, when end of month is out, you can actually summon for end of month, and if you have any leftover orbs, you can then spend it on this banner, because this will be here till the 1st of September, so you have 24 hours after the end of month does officially release before this banner does leave. And that's something that I recommend everyone actually do. If the banner itself was actually better, I would say maybe do a few steps. Even for new accounts, I don't even recommend redoing that many summons. At most, if you're a new player, do 2 multis, because these characters are good, they are cool, most of Masaki Isshin, but the Filippo really doesn't do it any favors. It really doesn't. And we've seen some, you know, mediocre character pulls in the past perform, but this one I think is a prime example of just, yeah, like the chance of getting something good is basically 1.5%, maybe even 1%. What is definitely worth mentioning, and maybe more reason to say for this upcoming end of month banner, is the fact that we are seeing E-ban. So the great thing with all these extra 1000-year Blood banners that we have been getting, right, is that once they do become a year old, in this case, E-ban's not even a year old yet, he's like 11 and a half months old. But we saw with Yachiru, Yamotsu, and Shojuro, after a year, you become a filler. If you're a mid-month character, like the most recent Shinji and also Kensei, they should become fillers in like 6 months' time, right? Even right now is a filler, and that was kind of expected for the end of month banner. But considering that they put him here, it maybe, again, doesn't guarantee, keep that in mind, but it's very likely now that Kyoge, an absolutely amazing character I know a lot of people do like, myself included, Kyoge and also Bambietta now have a chance to be on the end of month banner. And if that supposed leak is true that it's going to be Stamrata, it would make sense for all the banner characters in that banner to be Stamrata, right? 3 new ones, 2 returning ones, that being Bambietta and also Kyoge, and then maybe they can throw in all the other, you know, really old Stamrata that no one really cares about because, you know, they're old, right? Because one thing you know to say, there's like not a single Stamrata in this banner. So maybe they're saving like the OG Candice, Bambietta, and Arskin to be put in that banner with a full Quincy banner. They actually did the same thing last year, I believe, so that'd be kind of cool if that's like the traditional banner. For some reason, every end of month August just ends up being a triple Stamrata banner. I'd be down for it. But like I said, I was going to say this banner was a skip anyway, just based on the filler. I don't think I even need to tell you lads that. But I think E-ban being here should definitely raise expectations on potentially end of month having a better filler pool. Because even if it is 3 new characters and then Bambietta and Kyoge as the filler pool, and then everyone else in the banner is trash, it's still going to be a good banner because then you have 5 characters to pull for. 5 good characters of that. But let's quickly talk about the new characters, the new returning characters more so. The first character being Masaki. Realistically, she is going to be a Guild Quest only character. You can definitely use her outside of Guild Quest, but I'm not like the biggest fan of her gameplay. But if you are a Masaki fan that has been wanting to use an SP character, you can definitely use her. And the reason for that is because she herself does a high damage output, friendly +2 with a 60% berserker, an increased chance to inflict paralysis on all of her attacks against any Aranka enemy in the game, and then with that, once you do apply a status summon, you will then be getting an 80% SP boost, and then deal 80% more damage to any enemy that is inflicted with paralysis, but 40% of that is a team boost that she does give to any power attribute Quincy. Now this skill is actually really cool, but definitely has lost some value given the fact that Grammy does exist, and Grammy is a character that basically does what, that buff to a certain extent. It's 30 instead of 40, but he does that to every Quincy. Whereas this particular Masaki is only 2 power ones, and there isn't really that many power Quincy's that come to mind right now besides Masaki. Obviously, in the future, as we do continue to get more 1000-year Blood War and also Stam Rater / Quincy characters, there will be more characters that benefit from this, but I think most people's go-to character will always be Grammy, just to overall give them a team buff. Now, I've yet to actually test it, but I'm very curious to see if this team buff will actually stack with Grammy, because if it does, because they technically are buffing different things, that would actually mean that Grammy is going to be a really good team buff for someone like Masaki, and make her better in content that she's already good in, that being the Ranger Spider Guild Quest. Because that's realistically where you are only going to use her. The Ranger Spider Guild Quest right now only has 2 good leads, that being this new Masaki, and also the renewed Aaroniero. And obviously, in terms of damage output, Masaki is a way better character, and is capable of clearing faster, and also clearing a lot safer, because that's what she has going for her. With the increased chance to inflict paralysis, almost any enemy that spawns in is guaranteed to be paralyzed. And then her summon also does have a revive attack, so after using a summon, if any teammate dies, they will then automatically revive and be able to attack the enemies once more. My reason for her being strictly a Guild Quest character, albeit you definitely can use her outside of Guild Quest, is that she just has a very awkward strong attack here. She ain't bad, obviously. I do consider one of the best power characters in the entire game, but a pushback attack into a barrage attack, it doesn't really offer the most enjoyable gameplay for me anymore. When I first had her, I was enjoying it, I was using it, and then she also does have a slight problem being a Sparta killer. Well, let's say, for example, you want to use it to farm Aaroniero inheritance trials, where she then has an increased chance. Because she inflicts paralysis, the enemies themselves are immune to paralysis, so you can't even really use her when she's most optimal in IT inheritance trials. So for me, really, I'm only getting use out of her in Guild Quest, but then again, that's not really a bad thing, right? I'm actually very happy to have her on my account. I pulled her twice, and she's been great in Guild Quest. So if you are someone that does pull in this banner, although again, I doubt you should really go too deep, maybe at most do 2 steps, Masaki is going to be a meta character in the Ranger Spider Guild Quest as a good lead, especially if you are someone that does not have someone like renewed Aaroniero. Even if you do, Masaki will replace it. And if you are a Masaki fan, you can definitely use her outside of Guild Quests. She'll play a tad bit awkward, but she's still going to clear content just fine. Who isn't going to clear content just fine, because he's absolutely destroying it, is 1000-year Blood War Isshin. Easily one of the best characters in the entire game. And honestly, if you don't have Isshin, he might be a character worth pulling for, especially if you are a massive fan of Isshin. If you have Isshin, don't even think about pulling on this banner, because he is simply an amazing character. Why exactly is that? Well, he's a mind soapy captain with the Quincy kill ability, and his damage output is just absolutely insane. Frenzy +2, a 50% berserker. When you inflict a stat summon, which keep in mind he does have an increased chance to do so against any heart attribute enemy, but once you do inflict a stat summon, you will then get a 120% SP boost, and that's very similar to Masaki, but the biggest difference here is that Isshin does have Rampage, and he's one of the 4 characters in the game to have this skill. It's one of the most broken skills in the game, where every kill that you get 2% more damage, so after 50 kills, you're then doing 100% more damage. His damage output was already good as is, but the Rampage already just makes him one of the hardest to mind characters in the entire game, and I think one of the best things about him that I've been liking most about him since I have pulled him is the fact that he can inflict both lacerate and also burn, and having 2 damage over time stat summons have been really good for content that have high HP enemies like Limit Breaker, and also even the most recent 9th anniversary Senkaman Tower. His strong attack kit is also very good, a lunge into a tracking vortex into a full screen. I still consider someone like Yuha to be the best mind character in the game, but it does go to show how powerful this character is, Isshin in particular, because he really does push it. You generally could make a case that Isshin is maybe a tad bit better than Yuha, and the only advantage Yuha has at this point is the extra sub bomb, the double killer, and the recharge in between stages. But in terms of damage output on raw damage strong attacks, Isshin does be performing like a crazy monster. One great thing about Isshin, though, is that he does have a Quincy killer, so he's really good in the melee Quincy guild quests. Again, potentially a character that you can always use in Limit Breaker, just to basically brute force your way and constantly inflict DOT, stat summons, burn, and also lacerate. And to be fair, he is one of those fewer new characters that have come out into the game where his increased chance to inflict stat summon is to an entire attribute, in this case, any heart enemy, as opposed to what we have been seeing lately, where it's only to one type of, enemy. Aronkas, Holos, Sorbers, etc. So because of that, regardless of killer, Isshin's always good whenever you are going against any heart attribute enemy. And in a way, you definitely can make him just a general good mind character to use in any content where you are up against heart characters. Killer for him really doesn't matter. Easily one of the better characters Killer have released this year thus far. With that though, let's quickly talk about the filler pool. In this case, Eben is a somewhat new character. I mean, he has come out a year ago at this point, but you might not have him. First time as a filler pool, which is definitely noteworthy. But Eben's more so a Link, right? His soul trait being Technique, Link Sword Potion +5 makes it so you can turn any character into a Link Sword farmer, or you can double down and make Link Sword farmers even better Link Sword farmers, as you can then get 5 additional Link Sword Potions. If you are someone that wants to use Eben as a character, you definitely might want to do that, because besides the fact that he does give himself +5 Link Sword Potions, he's also a really good character when it comes to farming coins, crystals and jewels, and also most importantly, droplets. In this case, he guarantees 10 additional droplets and also increases the drop rate by an additional 30%. Since you want to use the character in Inheritance Zone and also Epic Raids and even in Droplet Zone, his damage output is good, being Frenzy +2, a 40% Berserker, and then more damage to lacerated enemies. So Eben could just be best looked at for his Link Sword Potion soul trait or a dedicated droplet farmer if you actually do need one of those. Tanjiro is a super old character. The really only good thing about him at this point is his soul trait being 12% recharge and also an additional 20% strong attack damage when you are at full stamina. And that, of course, does cut from when you do resurrect him. Likewise for Nemu, she is also a resurrectable character. Soul trait isn't really that good. It is recharge and also more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment. May be good for someone like Lige if you are using him in Inheritance Trials. Toshiro is another resurrectable character, and while his resurrection does make him overall better, he of course doesn't really compete with these newer characters, especially Isshin in the same banner. But he is actually a very good Link, once more being a 12% recharge and also 20% strong attack damage when at full stamina. Really good soul trait for someone like Isshin. Aizen is a recharge and also full stamina damage soul trait. Again, another good Link for Isshin, or any general good mind unit. Ichigo unfortunately doesn't really have much to offer. Just a resurrectable character, more orbs if you don't own him. Likewise, the same can be said for Sajin. And in this case, our most recent banner basically completely revamped this character, right? We already have a new Sajin in game. That is everything that this character wanted to be on release. They're both normal attack damage characters. They both have the extra long hit on their final attack. They're both brave battle units. The difference though is that of course this one released like 5-6 years ago, and the other one, the newest one, is actually a good character. So if you do want Sajin, you're better off pulling for the new one that's currently out now in an individual banner. This one though, unfortunately won't offer much, maybe a decent Link at best. Now, of course, one of the special things about this, given that we are still currently in the anniversary season, is that if you do go all the way to step 25, you are guaranteed either Masaki or Isshin of your choice with the selected ticket. I wouldn't recommend it though. I just don't think it's worth pulling on a 2-character banner right now. I don't think everyone even has orbs. Like, does anyone have orbs? We just had part 1 and part 2 the anniversary. I know people pulled on the Ichigo, Yuha, and also Orihime banner. And likewise, I know people also pulled for the most recent Bankai Shinji. So a banner like this returning really should only have the best of the best fillers to make it worthwhile, especially for those that are already low on orbs to begin with. I think you can easily skip this banner. Both Masaki and Isshin are great, but I just don't think they're really worth going for right now, especially with this filler pool. Doesn't really offer much besides Eben. And again, Eben being here right now as a filler potentially does mean that Kyoge and Bambietta are going to be fillers in the upcoming end of month banner. And if their fillers there, alongside 3 new stun return, I think you're better off spending your orbs in that banner. Because then there's going to be 5 characters to go for instead of the potential 3 characters to go for here. And like I mentioned, the banner itself will be out while end of month is out. So if you have any leftover orbs, maybe it's best to spend it in this banner if you really want to. But for me, even if I did have them, even if I didn't, it's a very easy skip. But I want to talk about the characters once before they do release. If you are a massive fan of them and you're going to summon on tomorrow's banner, good luck. Hopefully get what you want. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.